What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I thought I would do something kind of fun for you guys on the Sunday. You know, Sundays are normally my different kind of topic days. I want to talk about if Sony lied to us about or with God of War. Now, I want to say God of War Ragnarok, but then there's technically that specification that it's not really called Ragnarok, right? There's been enough hints that that's not actually going to be the game's name, but I wanted to go down this rabbit hole. I've seen people on my channel, people just in general. I have seen a discussion, whether it's on Twitter or in the comments, talking about how, Sony basically, they announce God of War, they tell us God of War is coming, and they, I mean, in a way, you could look at it this way, and we'll talk about it. Did they lie in that it's clearly not coming out this year? There's no doubt about it. And so did they just do it to get people excited for the console? So there's a lot, I would say, to unpack. I still have a cold in terms of when I'm recording this, so my voice isn't as strong, and my stamina isn't as strong as it normally is, so hopefully we can get through it. But, I want to talk about a couple different aspects because, well, number one, I don't want it to come off like I'm some Sony hater or even some Sony fanboy. And I really don't see myself as either of those things. It's really impossible to be, I guess, well, you could say you could be at least a hater if you're going after it. But I've said enough really nice things about Sony. I've said enough really negative things about Sony, and I've done that with every single company. One thing I want to say in a more defensive way of Sony to kind of start this off is they are not alone in doing this. So anybody that's saying, Sony's garbage, Sony promises these products, and then they're just doing it, well, I want you to look yourself in the mirror and say, obviously you have a favorite, and it's not PlayStation, so let's just say it's Xbox, and I want you to think about all the times that they've done it, to which the times are many. So I just don't want it to turn into some sort of like a fanboy or like a hater, I don't know, some sort of cult in the comments, right? Because in reality, again, to be a little bit more defensive of Sony, I don't think what they did is right. We'll talk about that in just a second here. I don't think what they did is right, but they're definitely not the only ones who've ever done it. Okay, it happens literally all the time, and specifically, their biggest competitor, or the thing that everybody would, if you don't like Sony, chances are you maybe like Microsoft, right? They've done it too. But, talking about God of War in particular, no, I don't think what they did was right, and I would lean more towards, did they lie to us? Yeah, in a way. I think that, the lie, really, well, when you say they lied, you could say, well, what in God's name, like, what does that even mean? Like, what do they lie about? The only thing they really lied about in the 30-second trailer teaser of God of War is giving us the date. And I guess to get technical about it, you only consider it a lie if you believe that Sony knew that the game would not come out in 2021, right? That's the difference between them doing it out of excitement and hype and belief versus them just saying a lie to get people more excited, which you could look at it as like a noble thing, or like, you could understand why they're doing it, but it still may be wrong, right? That's really where it boils down to, because if they announce God of War Ragnarok or whatever it's called, and they put 2021 at the end, that is their belief that the game is going to come out at that time. If they didn't believe that, then yes, I do think it's misleading in a way that they just kind of threw that in to say, oh, here's something else to get excited about, but, we'll even tell you it comes out next year so you feel more inclined to get the PS5, which, again, I get it. You have a new console, and I've been pretty pro that kind of mindset for a while, right? Where it's like, I understand why they would want you want people to buy your new console, so you have a PS5. Now the issue with this time around is people can't find it. Like, the people, it's debatable if people have the money, and it'll be debatable in the future with inflation and the economies and all that stuff. But like, as of right now, money's not the worst it's ever been in terms of economics, but it's really, the console cannot be found because of manufacturing, all that stuff. So what's funny is, I think people do want it, and there would actually be many, many more of these in people's homes if they were available on store shelves. You know what I mean? So that's so it's kind of ironic that you could say, well, did they do it to get people excited for the PS5 and want to buy it faster and more? Yeah, that probably is a big reason. That could actually be the only reason, but they didn't actually need to do that, and that's what's kind of ironically funny about it, is they didn't need that. The system's doing well, and people want it, and they have other games out there, in general. And another thing, again, I guess more of a defensive thing, but I will still side with, I don't think they needed to say the release date, because again, the only thing they did wrong I would say, is that release date. And release date is stretching it a little bit because they gave us a release year. Now, I don't think when they showed that, anybody thought that the game would come out January 1st or even the first half of 2021. I think after, because, Horizon was announced in June, and then you got this announcement in September of last year. So I think when we all saw this, we were thinking, okay, well, maybe if Horizon comes out around the time the first one, it came out February, the first game. So maybe Horizon does a first half and the God of War does a second half. And again, that seems reasonable to believe. But I don't think there's anything wrong with having teased God of War. That's the tricky small part that you may just gloss over, and you could say, well, obviously, Alex, that's a small deal. But I think when people get mad about God of War, they do somewhat forget about that, like that there really isn't anything wrong with teasing it. Now, it depends on the circumstance. Just a few days ago, we talked about Everwild, and I'm actually kind of annoyed at Everwild because I'm excited for it. It looks great, but it's very possible that game is in a disaster state, or at least it's not fully pulled itself together. Back when they did the trailer in 2019, when it was first announced, that was it. They didn't even have a game back then. So that goes to like a Kingdom Hearts 3 thing. The first time Kingdom Hearts 3 was shown, that's the only thing they had done for Kingdom Hearts 3 at the time was that trailer. So that's annoying. And I would say, if that would be the case with God of War, I don't like that. I would say there's nothing wrong with teasing your game, even doing very, very little. So, it was just a voiceover. It was just, the logo, basically, and that was it. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as that's not the only thing the developer has done up until this point. If they started God of War 2 weeks before that trailer, and then you do that trailer, that I think is kind of secretly misleading, because yes, you don't expect them to have all that much when you see a trailer like that. You're like, oh, well, if they had gameplay, they would show it. If they had a trailer, they would show it. They only have this. And so you could get yourself in the mindset that obviously they're not too far, but I think you would still expect them to be decently far. Nobody's expecting The Last of Us Part 3 to be announced 5 days after it actually begins work in Naughty Dog. You know what I mean? Who expects that? But more importantly, who wants that? Because then you're going to say, oh yeah, we started working on it last Friday, and we got 5 years ahead of us. And it's like, well, you could wait till year 2, and then you could say, yeah, we've been working on it for 2 years. We do have a little bit we could show you, and then we're going to go dark, and we'll come back kind of yearly, right? That's the way I guess I would kind of prefer. So, I take, I'm trying to be as fair as I can. I feel like that's kind of a good trait about me on these channels, if you guys have seen that. But, I would say the best way of putting it is, I understand people who are kind of upset at God of War. I think that I would say the way they've treated it the last year, and by treated it, I mean not talk about it whatsoever, I do think that leads to more people believing they were lying to us, or they were on purpose misleading us, because it's not like they're even giving us hopes about it. One of the things I've actually liked about Horizon is, there's been a lot of behind-the-scenes talk that, well, maybe the game doesn't come out this year. But Sony is very pushy on the game in a good way, where every time they can, they say, hey, the game, we're trying as hard as we can. We want the game to come out this year. That's our plan, and hopefully we can do it. And I like that. But one thing that's kind of funny is you don't even mention God of War, you know what I mean? So Horizon it seems like internally was delayed a couple times. It probably was supposed to come out around right now, around the March through kind of June period. In fact, that was the early talk of when the game was supposed to come out. So that's been pushed. But God of War, they've almost taken a, well, just forget about it approach. You know what I mean? It's where there's no way it releases this year. So why even get people remotely excited about it? Why even reassuring is probably the right word. Why even try to reassure people about God of War when we know it's not releasing this year? So again, the question is, how long have they known that? It's clear they've known that for, I'd say, at least since this year started, since January. So then you would say, okay, well, did they know it last October? Well, did they know it the day after they announced God of War in that future game show or state of play or whatever? Did they know the next day where it's yeah, the game's not coming out in 2021? Maybe if everything goes our way, which is never going to happen, maybe it can release in next November, but for the most part, there's no way this game comes out next year. I feel like they did know that relatively early, if not when they did that. And I do think in a way that was to get people to get excited. So, I'm not I'm not I'm not rioting. I'm not saying oh, this is going to make me anti-Sony, or I'm never going to support them again because they lied to me. No, I mean, it's just kind of a fun, different discussion where it's yeah, I do think there was a purposeful misleading thing happening. And I don't, but at the same time, I wouldn't get too bent out of shape about it. I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world. This again, it happens, I would say it happens quite often, probably more than it should. I don't really think it should happen. I think you could be honest, and it wouldn't really, and as we can tell by sales figures for the console and even for some of the bigger exclusives that PlayStation has released, yeah, they don't really need to lie. You just need to do your thing and you're going to do fine. You know what I mean? So there really is no need to mislead people, which could get you to say, well, maybe they weren't actually. Maybe they really did believe it could come out this year. So definitely more than one way of looking at it. So let me know, guys, in the comments below, what do you think? Do you think they were lying to us? Did you think they knew it wasn't going to release this year? Maybe they did. Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. I do a brand new video on this channel every single day, and so I hope to see you guys for tomorrow's video.